again on this Friday morning to tell us all about this week. Good morning, Senator Garcia. How are you doing?
Good morning, Regina. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for joining us again. It really has been so amazing to see the videos not only pouring out of Miami, but Tampa, here in Orlando, Mexico, all across the globe. So I know we spoke with you on Monday when we had just been getting some information about what's going on in Cuba. We saw some protests, but what can you talk about? Can you talk about what you have seen, over this last couple of days?
Well, with regards to the images coming out of Cuba, it has been heart-wrenching. It's been gut-wrenching in reality. And we can only hope that we can continue to pressure the Biden administration to get the much-needed internet interface communication so that we can finally put this totalitarian regime on the international stage. Why do we say this? Well, because since we can't get a military intervention, you would think we can get a humanitarian intervention. And what's a humanitarian intervention? Obviously communication, obviously some type of footage, obviously some type of presentation to the world, to other international powers that probably be able to help us to question and to take this totalitarian regime to task, meaning they need to be adjudicated of violence. They need to be adjudicated of these heinous crimes against humanity, against their very own people. So we want to follow a process, an immediate process, present realistic and immediate solutions. And what more than being able to provide something as simple as communication so they can continue to organize their grassroots and they can continue to be of relevance to the world. Right now, we cannot thank the support. We cannot thank the support enough, the support of everyone that is not using a political lens on this, that is behaving objectively. And in the end, if you think about it, you're supporting freedom.
And Senator Garcia, going off of what you just said, you and I have been kind of chatting throughout the week, and there is internet restrictions, but we've seen some videos coming out of the island nation. Specifically, we've seen law enforcement. We know that at least one person has died, that at least more than 100 people have been detained. So is there ways to get the word out there despite these internet restrictions? Can you kind of explain how their process works?
Which process in particular? The process in Cuba? Well, we can only hope that once they get the different mechanisms, different technologies that they're currently considering, they would need to turn on some of the equipment that they have over at the American embassy. Think about it. I mean, with the amount of scarcity and how the government goes about blocking and controlling information coming in and leaving, the only other way for them to be able to hook on would be through a plug-in that can only be provided through some of the mechanisms and satellites that they have over at the American embassy. So that's something else that they need to take into account. Even though, to my understanding, a lot of people have been able to communicate with the island through an application. And I find that very interesting how calls are still coming in and out, but eventually they will get cut off as well once the government realizes this.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant. Is there still ways, even though that internet access is restricted, is there still ways for people to get videos and, information out there despite that? So that's really good to know. Now, specifically here in Florida, Senator Garcia, we actually have a station out there in Fox 13 Tampa. They did a story with an interesting angle. Do you think that because this is happening in Cuba, that Florida may face a huge influx of migrants?
That's always been a possibility. That has always been a possibility. As a matter of fact, here in Southcom, they practice a simulation every 2 years of another possible Mariel boat lift. I mean, something similar to what happened with the Mariel boat lift in Exodus. So that's something always to take into account. But I will tell you something, the messaging down here has been that to speak to the people that are passionately protesting right now, that at a given moment wanted to jump on their boats and leave Florida out in a flotilla, that they shouldn't do that right now, that they would take away from the focus and the pressure that we need to put on right now on the administration. Yesterday, Biden stated something that was very concerning to me, to all of us, as a matter of fact, when they said that they would allow additional remittance and additional medical supplies as needed and additional travel to Cuba. And you have to ask yourself, are you kidding? I mean, you mean the remittances that the regime is going to receive because they're the ones that process the currency and the money. So what's going to be their scrutiny once you send the remittance to your loved ones in Havana? They're going to ask you, are you with the regime or are you not with the regime? Also, you're going to allow people to visit Cuba after watching the bloodbath that's going on, where the military is attacking its own people because they're yelling freedom, because they're yelling patria y vida, country life. I mean, there's a lot going on that just makes no sense. And right now, we need to step away from political strategies and political ideology. And once again, I cannot reiterate enough. If not Biden, let me reiterate to the Democratic Party that they need to step in and put the pressure on their president. This isn't about right or left. This isn't about Obama era overtures. This isn't about trying to make friends with a totalitarian regime. This is about human rights. This is about freedom. And we need right now for the Democratic Party to step up and put the pressure on President Biden.
Now, going off of what you just said, Senator Garcia, I actually saw that some officials now all over social media, you can see the hashtag SOS Cuba, and it's gained a lot of, now you click on it and you can just see feeds and feeds of people showing their support. Now, officials are actually blaming that campaign on social media, calling for humanitarian aid and saying that it's fueling the protests. What can you say about that?
No, it's making everyone aware. So it's one of the things that, and by the way, those officials have no idea how to vet, and they're using, once again, a political lens if they're vetting it in that manner. On the contrary, we're creating awareness. We are so thankful that the media, a lot of the media, has been very objective with regards to this. I mean, I have seen very left-leaning media outlets advocating and pushing and putting pressure on the administration that this is the right thing to do right now. Humanitarian intervention, whether it's the internet, whether it's not engaging in relationships with the regime in any which way or form. Don't soften the embargo. I mean, this thing with the remittances and the allowing of people, which is something really silly to say, to visit Cuba and to take more items to help the island of Cuba is just like the dumbest thing that has come out of the administration that I've heard in quite some time. Finally, they've admitted that communism, socialism is a bad thing, so they maybe get rid of Bernie Sanders and AOC. But the point right now being is that we cannot convey enough. Do not soften sanctions with Venezuela, which feed the totalitarian regime, and do not think for 1 minute that allowing remittances and allowing additional supplies to an island that is uninhabitable right now because the military is attacking its own people that have no weapons makes any sense whatsoever. History will hold this president accountable for these heinous crimes and these acts against humanity. These people, the only fault they have is that they want freedom, plain and simple. So once again, I cannot ask you enough. I'm not asking you as a political official. I'm not asking you as a Republican. I'm asking you as a human being, as the daughter of people that have been exiled here for this very particular reason. Take a look at these images and have some compassion. You know, while you review President Biden, these people are dying. So we ask once again, if Biden's not going to do it, the Democratic Party needs to step up and needs to do something about this.
Yeah, Senator Garcia, now going off of that statement and talking about what specifically is happening on the island nation now, on Wednesday, we actually learned that Cuba announced temporarily lifting restrictions on the amount of food and medicine that travelers could bring into the country. So is that a small concession to these demands? Do you feel that that is them kind of giving in a little bit? And honestly, what does that really mean?
Look at these images. Who's going to visit the island right now? And what type of protections can this country offer the island when the government is attacking its people? These people have no weapons. And this is the very reason why the Second Amendment is fundamental, ladies and gentlemen. This is the reason why we need the Second Amendment, to protect us against tyranny. So if they can't protect themselves, why does this administration play with the fact that they'd be able to protect them against this type of act? Do you think that the people that are going to visit the island are not going to join the people that are being assaulted right now at this very moment? I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, stop, and once again, stop playing with the political lens. I mean, let's be realistic here. Once again, we asked in the most compassionate manner, if President Biden doesn't want to play into this, because he has been a part of this already during the Obama era, we asked the party, the Democratic Party, to please put pressure on this administration to not soften any type of relationship. Remittances is just enabling the regime. Giving them a backdoor through Venezuela is enabling the regime. Step in and ask for international help from the United Nations, that these crimes against humanity get put on the international stage. Ask them to step down. If we're not going to intervene militarily, which is fine, we can't take that on. Let's help them in a humanitarian manner. Let's send Navy ships. Let's find third world countries that can come in and, third countries that can come in and help us with doctors, with other type of things that we can take directly to the people. But while this is going on, do you think this is going to stop? Do you think the people of Cuba are going to stop begging and pleading for their freedom? They're dying as it is. They're burying, I mean, they can't even bury their own people. I mean, this is grave. And once again, this administration will be held accountable for this. While Biden reviews, people are dying. Once again, we ask the Democratic Party to step up and put pressure on this administration. This needs to stop. The people of Cuba need their freedom.
Yeah, and I do want to take it back, Senator Garcia, to the people. You yourself, a daughter of Cuban exiles. I actually do want to play a video, a picture that you sent me. You are out there in your community supporting Cuban Americans that, just like yourself, may have family over there. So we are probably going to see another weekend of demonstrations. So when you have been out there, what are the emotions like? What has this week, as a Cuban American woman and surrounded by a community full of brothers and sisters, what has this week meant to you personally?
You know, this, for many, especially for the senior community, this brings back a lot of pain, brings back a lot of trauma, and at the same time, a lot of gratitude. You have no idea how grateful the Cuban American community is with this country. That's why you see amongst the crimes in Cuba happening right now, people holding up the American flag. It means freedom. And what does that say about this administration if they don't hold it up, if they don't walk the talk? So one of the things that I'd like to add additionally is that there's been some gaslighting with regards to the double standard on the peaceful protesting that's been going on because of the recent bill that was passed, the HB1, which was actually an anti-rioting, anti-looting bill, which served to protect people who wanted to peacefully protest against looters, against civilians, and also people that wanted to act against law enforcement. You know, they were saying that if the people that were peacefully protesting were darker skinned, that they'd probably be arrested. Shame on you. If you've taken a closer look at the people that are peacefully protesting, a lot of the Cuban community are dark skinned. We're mulattoes, you know, but we're white, we're red, we're black. You know, we are Christian, Catholic, Muslim, Jewish. There's gay, straight, bi. So once again, let's roll it all back and let's put our heart in it. And for the Biden administration, put your money where your mouth is. Once again, I cannot convey enough to ask our fellow Democrats and just the community as a whole to set everything aside and ask for humanity and ask for people to step up the international stage, to step in and help humanitarian aid, communication, internet, not giving allowances to this regime, tightening this regime, and asking other countries to hold them accountable to hold the president of Cuba accountable for asking the government to go out and massacre their own people because they want freedom.
Senator Garcia, I'm actually very glad that you brought that up, because even myself, when I go onto social media, you see these protests in Orlando, Tampa, Miami. In the comments, a lot of people are mentioning the fact that, you know, the governor recently put that act into place, and they're saying that he's conflicting what he's done. So I'm very glad that you touched on that. Thank you. Is there anything else that you want the viewers to know as we head into this weekend? Anything else that you want them to know as we wrap up almost nearly 6 days of protest and support and keeping tabs on what's going on the island?
Well, it's going to continue, and we're going to continue as long as our people in Cuba continue to fight for freedom. We're going to continue to fight for them here. Please do it lawfully. Continue to reach out to your elected officials, continue putting the pressure on. Thanks to everyone, Democrats and Republicans, that have helped the cause. Thanks to the media that have been very objective with regards to this. And remember, it is them today. It could be us tomorrow. Let's fight for freedom.
All right, Senator Ileana Garcia out there in Miami, Florida. We thank you so much for your time and joining us here on Live Now from Fox to not only share your insight, but personal stories as well. So you have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias. Thank you, Reina. Thank you.
Thank you. And a huge